Hansel and Gretel. This story is about two children, Hansel and Gretel, and how they use their intelligence and bravery to escape a dangerous situation. The children learn a harsh lesson about the dangers of trusting strangers, as the seemingly kind witch turns out to be their captor. Despite facing numerous challenges, the children defeat the witch and return home safely, demonstrating the triumph of good over evil. The story emphasizes the importance of perseverance, intelligence, and familial love in overcoming life's obstacles. So, let's begin. Once upon a time, there lived a poor woodcutter, his wife, and his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Times were tough, and the family often didn't have enough food to eat. One evening, the woodcutter's wife said, "We don't have enough food to feed everyone. We must take Hansel and Gretel into the forest and leave them there." The woodcutter was heartbroken, but he finally agreed as he saw no other way. However, Hansel and Gretel overheard their plan. Hansel comforted Gretel, saying, "Don't worry, I'll think of something." That night, Hansel snuck outside and gathered some white pebbles, which he hid in his pockets. The next morning, as their parents led them deep into the forest, Hansel dropped the pebbles along the path, leaving a trail. After a while, their parents left them in the forest, promising to return soon, but Hansel and Gretel knew they would not. When night fell, the moonlight illuminated the white pebbles, and Hansel and Gretel followed them all the way back home. Their stepmother was furious when they returned, and a few days later, she convinced the woodcutter to try again. This time, Hansel didn't have a chance to collect pebbles, so he left breadcrumbs along the path instead. However, when Hansel and Gretel tried to follow the trail, they discovered that birds had eaten all the crumbs and they were lost. Hansel and Gretel wandered through the forest, hungry and tired, until they found a strange little house made entirely of gingerbread, candies, and sweets. They were so hungry that they began eating pieces of the house. Suddenly, an old woman came out and invited them inside. She seemed kind at first, but little did they know she was actually a wicked witch. She planned to fatten Hansel up and eat him. She locked Hansel in a cage and made Gretel work as her servant. Each day the witch would check if Hansel was fattening up by feeling his finger. But Hansel was clever. He held out a thin bone instead, and the nearly blind witch thought he was still too skinny to eat. After a few days, the witch grew impatient and decided to eat Hansel anyway. She ordered Gretel to heat up the oven. But clever Gretel saw her chance. She pretended not to understand how to use the oven, and when the witch came over to show her, Gretel pushed her inside and slammed the door shut. the witch was gone for good. Hansel and Gretel found the witch's treasure chest filled with jewels and gold. They gathered as much as they could carry and set off to find their way home. After a long journey, they finally reached their father's house. Their father was overjoyed to see them and told them that their stepmother had left. With the treasure they had found, Hansel, Gretel, and their father lived happily ever after. The end.